So I'm going to be talking in this presentation about what mindfulness is, and also sharing with you 10 techniques that you can try to introduce into your daily life to help you to develop the skill of being mindful. So mindfulness takes practice. The more you do it, the better you will get at it, and the benefits will get better and better the more you practice. So what is mindfulness? So mindfulness is a mental state that is achieved by focusing our attention and awareness on the present moment, while we still calmly acknowledge any thoughts and feelings and bodily sensations that we have, but we do that without any judgment. And it's used as a therapeutic technique in addition to therapy. Now, they've done some research which has actually provided us with a statistic of how much time us human beings spend being lost in our thoughts, and this statistic was a whopping 47% of the time. So almost half of our lives we spend lost in our thoughts about the future, thoughts about the past, which is quite an alarming number. Okay, so this picture really helps to kind of summarize what mindfulness is, and it's one of my favorite pictures about mindfulness. So as you can see, coming out of the male's mind, he's thinking about, work, he's thinking about money, he's thinking about going on holiday, he's thinking about driving somewhere, whereas the dog is just sat and he is thinking about nothing but that moment right there, sitting with his loved one out in nature. That is the only thing that is going through that dog's mind, and this is why the dog is happier. And I think this is just a really good way of kind of helping people to see what being mindful actually is. So it's just about training your mind to be present in this moment right here, right now. So again, this just helps you to understand it that little bit more. So as you can see, this is thoughts about the past, thoughts about the future. Mindfulness is about being here in the present moment with whatever is happening in your life right here, right now. So if you're listening to this presentation, then you are being mindful because you are in the present moment. You are doing something and paying attention to something that is happening in your life at this very moment in time. Okay? Now, the benefits of mindfulness are that it decreases stress and anxiety, and that's been proven time and time again. It allows emotions and feelings to come up without placing any judgment on them, and that's just about, when you're being mindful, it's very normal that your thoughts will drift off to begin with, to the future or to the past, and it's just acknowledging that that has happened, acknowledging that the thought has popped into your head, acknowledge the way that's making you feel. Don't put any judgment on it, and just bringing your attention back to what you were doing before that actually happened. So it's bringing your attention back to the present moment. Creating a balance for yourself emotionally and physically. And it's about, because the brain goes to sleep every night but the mind doesn't, mindfulness helps the mind to rest, because our mind never gets any rest unless we practice at being mindful. And it's a therapeutic technique. Like I said, it's not used as a replacement of therapy, it's used in addition to therapy, and it's really great for the body, mind and soul. So my question to you right now is, when was the last time you did nothing? Okay, and I don't mean the last time you did nothing as in you kind of sat and had a TV day and just sat on the sofa, because that's not doing nothing. It's the last time you did absolutely nothing. When was the last time you just sat and you just allowed your mind to be present? When was the last time that when you had a shower, you just paid attention to how the water felt on your skin? When was the last time when you had a cup of coffee that you actually sat and noticed the taste of the coffee? When was the last time you went out for a walk and you actually noticed the sound and the feel of the wind? When was the last time? I imagine It's very unlikely to have been anytime soon, because we very often don't realise just how much time we spend lost in our thoughts or keeping ourselves busy with jobs that we do. So mindfulness is about doing nothing, okay, and just being present and enjoying ourselves in the present moment. Okay, so 10 ways to be mindful. So the first one is to focus on something. So it's just putting your attention and choosing to focus on something that you can see or something you are doing right now. And a good example is mindful eating. So when you're eating your food, how often do you actually pay attention to it? You know, we are always in a rush and we eat our food, and we very rarely sit and really pay attention to the taste of the food, how it feels in our mouth, and we can eat quite fast. And also with drinking as well, like I just said, you know, we have a cup of tea and a cup of coffee, and very rarely do we really pay attention and focus on what it tastes like and what it feels like. So the first thing is to choose to focus on something. So it's saying to yourself, I choose to focus on this taste in my mouth right now, this food that I'm eating. I choose to focus on every mouthful of coffee that I take. I choose to focus on something that you can see in front of you and really study that thing you can see, you know, really put all your attention into it. What size is it? What colour is it? What material is it? And just really choose to focus on something. Because if you choose to bring your focus to the here and now on a certain object or a certain taste, whatever it may be, then your mind can't continue to think about whatever it was thinking about. It can't do both at the same time. So that is being mindful. That is you training your mind to be in the here and now by saying, I want to focus on what I can see in front of me right now. Another good example is if you say you're driving to work and it's raining and you stop at traffic. Again, very often when we pull up at traffic, our minds will straight away wander off. And it's kind of saying, right, I want to focus on my window wipers, for example, and, you know, watching them going up and down and listening to the sound of them. That will stop your mind from wandering off in thought to something in the future or something in the past. Okay, so tip number 1 is to choose where your focus goes. Number 2 is notice your breath. So bringing your awareness to your breath. We breathe every second of every single day and we take it for granted and we very rarely stop and pay attention to it. So, you know, just putting your hand on your heart and focusing on how, you know, what your breath feels like. Are you breathing fast? Are you breathing slow? Are you breathing out of your nose, out of your mouth? Count your breaths. Purposely kind of change your breathing. So you could use some of the breathing techniques that you may know. So a really good one is breathing in for the count of 4, holding for 2, and then breathing out really slowly to the count of 7. And keep doing that. Again, by doing that, you are choosing where your focus goes. Your mind is concentrating on your breath, so it therefore can't concentrate on thinking about something in the future. Okay, so that's a really good one. It's focusing on your breath. Number 3 is set a daily intention. So what I mean by that is every morning when you wake up, set yourself a daily intention or an affirmation that you are going to focus on, and then write it down. So then once you've done that, what you do is you basically create the day that you intend to have for yourself. So you become that intention and you be who you want to be. So an example could be that you say, today I intend to stop taking things personally, and that is your intention for the day. And you keep reminding yourself of that because you've written it down, and you're going to keep reminding yourself of that, and it brings you back to your present moment and it helps you to stay focused during the day. Another example is I intend to see the goodness around me, and you set that as your intention and you purposely spend a lot of the day looking for the good around you and appreciating the good around you. And another example is I intend to be kind when under pressure. So that would be like a really good one if you've got a high pressure job and you find yourself getting frustrated in work. You go work with that intention in place, then you can keep reminding yourself of that to bring yourself back to the present moment. Okay, so setting yourself a daily intention. Number 4 is journaling. So journaling is what we do when we get a pen and a paper and we start to write down how we're feeling. And it's been proven to really help with people's mental health, because it helps us to understand ourselves and understand what we're feeling and why we're feeling this way. We kind of journal what thoughts we're having, what's led to these thoughts, what can I do more of at the moment that makes me happy, what can I do less of that doesn't make me happy, is there someone in my life right now that makes me feel good, is there someone in my life right now who doesn't make me feel good. And it's just about sitting there with a pen and paper and whatever is going through your mind, just getting it all down on paper. And like I say, it helps us to understand what's going on for ourselves. It helps to relieve some of the pressure of what we've got going on in our mind. But it's also really good at being mindful, because what you're doing is you're in the present moment, because you are sat there with your pen and paper and kind of going on this journey with yourself. Another really good thing is writing a letter or writing a story if you're somebody who likes to write stories, because again, you're choosing to focus on something that you're doing in the here and now. So letter writing and story writing is also a really good way of being mindful. But journaling is very, very effective. And you can get a lot of journal prompts as well, which will help you to learn the skill of journaling. Because journaling can also be difficult if you're not somebody who's journaled before. But again, when you get good at it, it really is quite powerful in helping us to understand ourselves and to kind of help with any difficult life events. Okay, number 5 is the 5 senses. So this is a really good technique, and it's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you are finding yourself feeling quite anxious or quite worried, then this technique can be really good to do. You can use this anywhere. You can use it at home, at work, when you're out walking, whatever it may be. So it's saying to yourself, what are 5 things I can see? So this is using all your senses. So your sight, your sound, your touch, your smell, and your taste. So what are 5 things I can see? So it's looking around at 5 different things you can see in front of you and focusing on one of them things at a time. So it's going to one, asking yourself, what does it look like? What is it? What colour is it? How big is it? What's it used for? Is it heavy? Is it light? Whatever it may be, it's really studying an object or whatever it is you can see in front of you. When you've run out of things to say about that particular thing, you move on to your second and you do the same again, and then the third, and then the fourth, and then the fifth. So once you've done 5 things you can see, you then say, what are 4 things I can hear? So it's listening for 4 different sounds. Now, a really good way of doing this is to close your eyes, as long as you're not driving or walking, obviously, but to close your eyes and just listen for the sounds, because if our eyes are open, that can kind of distract us from listening to sounds. So closing your eyes and just really focusing on the sounds that you can hear around you, and it's focusing on one sound at a time. Okay, so again, asking yourself what the sound is, where's it coming from, what do you think it is? Is it a ticking clock? Is it a car driving past? Is it a loud sound? Is it an annoying sound? Whatever it may be, really study the sound, and then once you've found one sound, turn that sound down and then focus on another sound, and so on, and you do that until you've done 4 different sounds. Then what are 3 things you can feel? So it may be that you need to get up and you might want to touch an object, or it could be that you want to feel an item of clothing that you're wearing, or you want to feel the seat that you sat on. And again, it's really focusing on how that thing feels. Is it rough? Is it soft? What material is it? Is it cold? Is it warm? Can you pinch it? whatever it may be. It's all about putting the focus and saying to your brain, I want to focus on this thing right here, right now. And then, like I say, 3 different things for that. And then you move on to 2 things you can smell. So it may be that you are wearing perfume or aftershave. It may be that you have a candle nearby that you can pick up and smell. And it's really focusing on that smell. Is it a nice smell? Is it a smell that you like? What does it smell like? Is it a strong smell? Is it a sweet smell? Really focus on one smell and then move on to a second smell. And then finally, one thing you can taste. So, you know, a drink, put it in your mouth and swish it around, or maybe you have a sweet in your pocket, or if you're at home, you can get something out of the kitchen. If you are out and about and you've got nothing that you can taste, you could change that to something I love about myself, or it may be that you can already taste something in your mouth, and it's just really focusing on what that tastes like. Is it a nice taste? If it's sweet, is it sour? Is it tangy? Whatever it may be, okay? So it's just really focusing. The word focus is so important. It's about focusing your attention, because your brain will not be able to jump to the future or to the past if you are saying to it, I want to focus on this right here, right now. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is really good. It's also a really good one for when you go out in nature, which is the next slide. So going out in nature, whether you're sitting in nature, standing or walking, it doesn't matter, okay? You can do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 from either of them. So it's just looking around, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel. So that might be, you know, if you are walking, you can pick up some flowers or touch a tree or whatever it may be. 2 things you can smell, and then 1 thing you can taste, okay? Noticing everything around you. So it's just really observing. When you're out walking, mindful walking is one of my favourite things to do, and it's just noticing everything around you. It's focusing on the trees, it's focusing on the path, it's focusing on your feet as you're walking, it's focusing on other people that you might be able to hear. Looking up at the clouds is one of my favourite things to do when I'm being mindful, because there's just something about looking up at the clouds. It really relaxes me. I just love to see the clouds in the sky. It makes me feel quite grateful, and I often use gratitude when I'm doing that. And it's just, again, putting your focus on everything that you can see around you. The sounds, the smells, people, trees, animals, stars if you're out at night time, and so on. Okay, so being out in nature is very good for mindfulness. Next one is music or relaxing sounds, imagery and colouring. So I've put a few different ones in this slide because I kept remembering extra things that I wanted to say. But we'll start with music. So music, listening to your favourite songs and singing along to them and dancing, okay? That is being mindful, because you're in the present moment, you're doing something you enjoy, and if you're doing that, your mind's not going to wander elsewhere. And that's something also, again, that I love to do, is kind of singing and dancing. Listening to relaxing sounds, so maybe the sounds of waves crashing, maybe a fan blowing, or nature sounds. And on YouTube there are loads of relaxing sounds. You can just type it in, relaxing sounds, and hundreds of videos come up. So, you know, at any point you can just play one of them videos, lie down, close your eyes, and just listen to the sounds, and kind of just imagine that you're there if you want to imagine that you're there, but just focusing on the sound is being mindful, okay? And then imagery, again, like I say, imagining that you're there with the sound can be quite powerful and quite mindful. And colouring, mindful colouring is also proven to be really helpful, and you can buy mindful colouring books from pretty much anywhere these days. And like this picture here of this lion, it's an image with loads of little tiny kind of colouring spaces, and that's been done purposely so that people really have to focus when they're colouring, so they don't go outside the lines, and they do take quite a long time to do. But while you're doing them, it requires concentration, and if you're concentrating, then you're being mindful, because again, your mind can't jump to something in the future or the past if you are focusing on something that you're doing right here, right now. So you can buy them from like most places, or Amazon, or wherever on the internet. You just type in mindful colouring. Number 8 is changing your routine. So us human beings do a lot of things on autopilot, okay? And what I mean by autopilot is we just do things automatically. Like, for example, we get up in the morning and we do our morning routine, most days exactly the same. We'll get in the car, we'll drive to work, take the kids to school, whatever it may be, and it's just, we do it on autopilot because it's something we do all of the time, and we don't really have to give any thought to it. But the problem with doing things on autopilot is that our brain doesn't have to concentrate on it, so therefore our brain will get lost in thought. So for example, when you're driving to work, if you've driven to work 100, 200 times, you'll find your mind wandering off elsewhere because you're doing it in autopilot. When you're cleaning your teeth, for example, because you clean your teeth every single day, your mind is likely to wander then as well, because it doesn't require much concentration. So a really good thing to do is to change around your routine so that you are not doing things on autopilot, so your brain has to concentrate. So some examples could be that you choose to drive to work a different way so that you don't do it on autopilot and your brain has to concentrate that bit harder. You may change your morning routine and just mix it up a bit and have breakfast before your shower. Or another one, which is really good, is you brush your teeth with the opposite hand, because that will kind of trick your brain. Your brain won't know what's going on, and you will actually find it quite difficult to brush your teeth with your opposite hand, which means that you have to therefore concentrate more, which is being mindful. So changing your routine, maybe writing a list of anything that you do on autopilot can be a really good thing to do, and just kind of say to yourself, how can I mix this up a little bit so that I'm not doing it on autopilot and I'm actually having to concentrate that a little bit more. And another one is like changing your living space around and creating new space, because that can really lift your mood and energy and just give you something different to focus on rather than the same thing that your mind's so used to focusing on. Number 9 is gratitude. So gratitude is something I am a huge fan of, and it's just asking yourself what you are grateful for, and it's a really good way of training our brain to focus on the good in our lives. And there is so much to be grateful for. A lot of the things that we take for granted, such as if you wake up every morning and you're not in pain, that's something to be really grateful for. If you can walk, that's something to be really grateful for. If you've got good eyesight, it's something to be really grateful for. These are things that, because we have them every day, we just expect them, we take them for granted. But there are so many things in life to be grateful for, and just practicing at introducing gratitude into your daily routine about the things in your life, the people in your life, the things in your life that are going well. Just spending a few minutes every day just thinking about them things can be really beneficial for your mental health. But they can also be a really good way of being mindful. So if your mind is wandering off, worrying about something, it's just kind of bringing it back to the here and now and saying, what am I grateful for right now? Okay, so gratitude rocks are also a really good thing. I personally haven't got one, but I've had clients that have used them, and it's just a little rock that you can buy, again, off the internet, that you can carry around with you, or you can put next to your bed, and every time you pick it up, it reminds you to sit and spend a bit of time kind of being grateful for things in your life. So because we can spend a lot of time just getting lost in our worries and our stresses in life, but just reminding yourself there is a lot to be grateful for, no matter how difficult life can be for us. Okay, And number 10 is exercise. So exercise is really good for our mental health anyway, because it releases serotonin, and there's been loads of studies done that it improves our mental health. But it's also a really good thing for mindfulness. So for example, if you go out running, when you're out running, you can be focusing on your steps. You can count your steps, you can listen to the sound of your feet. If you're somebody who does yoga, you can focus on your breath and count your breaths. If you're somebody who enjoys walking, you could focus on your surroundings or your feet again. If you're somebody who enjoys swimming, you could really focus on the sound and the feel of the water. So it's just focusing and choosing to focus on something during your exercise, which will help you the whole time that you're exercising to remain being mindful. Okay, so you've got kind of double benefits there because you're exercising and being mindful at the same time. So this is a quote that I really like, and it kind of just summarises the importance of mindfulness. So yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. And sadly, a lot of us miss out on the gift of today because our mind is always either thinking about something that might happen in the future or thinking about something that's already happened in the past, and it's very rarely in the present moment. So kind of practicing being mindful and developing your mindful muscle and strengthening that muscle so it becomes something that you can do quite easily will really help you to start to be present in the here and now and start to enjoy your days a bit more. Also, like I said at the beginning, 47% of the time we are lost in our thoughts. So that's half of our lives we are missing out on, and that is quite a worrying statistic. So really practice at being mindful. Use some of these techniques to really help you to develop it, and I really hope that you get some benefit out of it. Take care.